Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is the Business Brunch, and we are live on LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, I don't know, everywhere. So wherever you are, you should be able to find us. This show is for aspiring and inspiring leaders who want to connect with other people, learn something, and evolve. This show was actually created over 7 months ago now, ladies. We did this.
I know,
Isn't
that crazy?
Old. Yeah. And the initial purpose of this was to help people feel like they got a working from home team, because everyone was working from home, and so many people still are. And it can feel quite lonely, and it can feel, especially on a Monday, when you want someone to go, yay, what are you up to? And learn something, feel inspired for the week. So that's what we're here for. That's what we intend to do. And as the weeks have gone on, I'm not saying it was rubbish at the beginning, it was brilliant. But boy, are our guests getting just more and more awesome by the minute. We've been joined by some amazing people, and we are absolutely delighted to be joined by Marianne today, Marianne Hartley, who is the author of this awesome book, Align and Shine, which we're going to talk to you about in a little bit. And you're going to be talking to us today about branding, which follows on beautifully from the solo show that our wonderful Vanessa did last week, which was all about building your brand. Yeah, let's stop telling her she was good now. She's going to hate it. We're all about developing your brand and showing up on LinkedIn. So this just beautifully then builds on, what is it? How do we create a brand? How do we align? How do we align and shine? So we'll be talking to you about that in just a moment, and I'll let you introduce yourself in just a sec. But just for those of you who have just tuned in thinking, who the heck are you for and what are you doing here? My name's Sarah Farmer. I'm an executive coach, and I will let my two lovely co-hosts introduce themselves, Vanessa and Melinda. In fact, let's go to Vanessa first. Who are you? What do you do?
Who am I? So I'm a marketer, basically, B2B marketer. I've been doing that for many, many, many years. And I think we started this, and I'd started my own kind of consultancy or interim marketing practice. But I'm fully gainfully employed now, and and enjoying working with the amazing team too. But yeah, marketing is my thing, and branding is one of my favorite subjects. So it's really wonderful to have Marianne here today and talk about it from perhaps a different way than I normally go about it. So I'm really interested to learn about your Zen-like approach.
Well, it's very Zen. And Melinda, who are you and what do you do?
My name's Melinda Ward, and I am, for this purpose here with the group, I'm the specialist in consulting and business transformation. I've been working in the consulting industry, specializing in legal software implementations and business transformation for more than 25 years, leading consulting teams and developing tremendous consultants as a result. So there is actually, I'm really curious about this as well, because going into a client site and doing implementations or doing your own consulting and hustling up business, you have to maintain your own brand at all times. So it's one of those things, a lot of people think, oh, I don't really do that. I'm a consultant, or I work for a company. We have people for that. But no, we all are doing our own part, and it's really easy to forget that. So this is a way that we can all be reminded of some great ways to kind of connect with our own audiences. In other words, our clients, our colleagues, internal teams, when we're trying to get our points across. And yeah, really looking forward to it.
Good. So this is all about attracting your ideal clients, and you're going to be sharing with us some misconceptions about branding, which is great. I'm sure there are many, and how to create a legacy brand. And then you're going to share some wonderful things with us that we can take away and probably start doing ourselves. It's not always never going to be the whole picture, but it's something we can start to do or think about. And in the book itself, there's so much in there, so many things you can practice on, and you've got just quizzes and questions you ask us as we go through the book, which really helps start you thinking about this stuff. But before we go any further, you want to, Melinda, don't you? You like to tell everybody what now?
Well, I was going to say, please let us know where you're from, and fire up any questions in the chat. Also, if there's anybody who you'd like to share this session with, please do it now so they can get connected in and be ready to hear Marianne's words of wisdom.
I thought you were going to say another bit, which is you may not see all the comments coming in on your screen. This is usually your bit. You may not see all the comments coming in from everybody that we pop up on the screen. That's because we are streaming on so many different platforms. Don't worry, we can see you all. So please, tell us where you are. Tell us what you got up to this weekend, because it was Jubilee weekend. But before we do all that, and before we say hello to people, let me allow Marianne to say a word and introduce herself.
Well, thank you so much. So thank you for inviting me to this business brunch. I'm very excited to be here. So I'm Marianne Hartley, the founder of Hartley & Soul Branding and Design Agency. And we create irresistible brands that capture all your senses and leave you feeling connected to the heart. And I've been in branding for over 25 years. It's actually 28, but I think over 25 sounds better. And I love working with visionary business leaders who really want a brand that is a true reflection of their values, so they can stand out and attract their ideal clients who are aligned with their values as well.
Oh, fabulous. Thank you. And thank you so much for joining us. I really, really appreciate you coming on today, because it's actually a bank holiday for you. You're in Switzerland, did you say?
Yes, I'm in Basel at the moment, yes.
Okay, so thank you. We really appreciate that. But just anybody coming in and saying hello yet before we spout about our weekends?
We do. So yes, please do say hello to us in the comments, and we'll get you on screen. So we've got Tahorul. I know I've pronounced that wrong. I do apologise, but I'm not going to try and say it again. But hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us. Leong is back regularly. You're always there to support us and learning and adding to the conversation. So welcome back, Leong. Tracy Appleby is back again. We've got such an amazing kind of group of working. We've got such an amazing working from home team, haven't we?
Yeah, we have.
Tracy's
and it's building.
And the fabulous Danny is back. He says good morning, and then he says straight after, afternoon even. It's been a long day already. Chris Evans is here. Now, is this Chris Evans, Iron Man? Is it the DJ, or is it somebody even better? It's somebody even better. It's the engineer, Chris Evans. Welcome. And who else have we got? Sue Crooks. Crooks. Oh, that's my Bolton Crook. Good afternoon, everyone. Looking forward to this. So yeah, that's all that's the only people who said hello so far.
Welcome everybody. It's lovely to see our regular visitors coming back in and supporting us. It's just fabulous to know you're there. So very quick weekend, Jubilee, long weekend for most of us. What have you been up to? Marianne, did you do anything to celebrate the 70 years?
Well, from a distance, I was, really sort of in with the celebrations in spirit. But to be honest, I didn't watch anything on TV, but I am looking forward to sort of watch any of the, the replays. And I just met up with friends and had, we had asparagus on Sunday, which is one of my favorite meals, and just caught up with friends, saw some beautiful art. So it was a very, very lovely
weekend. Very nice. What about you, Vanessa?
I just love on the continent. I remember kind of traveling to Germany and this whole celebration of asparagus season. We don't do that in the UK. It's such a shame. And we don't usually get white asparagus either in the UK, which again is a huge shame. But I love the kind of European love of asparagus. What did I do? So I didn't watch any of the events on the TV either. And my nephew was there. My nephew is in the Scots Guards, so he was there in his bear skin, in the trooping of the colour. And I should have been there, and I wasn't. So anyway, shame on me. But I did go to a street party, and then I volunteered on the Friday, and we had a Platinum Jubilee celebration in the gardens, and the Mad Hatter's tea party was kind of going on. We had this kind of murder mystery theatrical thing in the garden, and so I did meet the Queen of Hearts. She was so she was celebrating, so that was very good. And then the weather was a bit rubbish, and so we got Disney Plus on the TV, watched loads of Marvel. We were big Marvel fans, and then spent the rest of the weekend making willow lanterns in the shape of Spider-Man, Thor, and all the rest of it. So very creative weekend. As you do.
And no props today, which is a shame because we could have
I know. I just realised that I was looking around then thinking, where are my flags? There's some flags.
Melinda, tiara wearing London going Melinda, where were you? What were you doing?
I was actually with, well, what one could say is a lot of queens. Over Friday and Saturday, I was at a music festival in outside London, which is, it's just very friendly to all people. So there were lots of people dressed up, lots of drag shows and things like that, as well as some like names you must know, like the Steps and Anastasia and Hadaway and Basement Jacks, and lots and lots of really great shows. I ended up Friday, according to my watch, I danced 16K on Friday and 19.5K on Saturday.
This is how you get your exercise, isn't it, really? Just dancing a little heart. I love it.
Yesterday I didn't get much done at all, to be honest.
You're probably recovering, but as ever, it sounds like a glorious weekend. I'm just looking at the time.
To meet friends and just hang out and just relax a bit and not think about, serious stuff, to just bounce around and meet lovely people.
Fantastic. So we've got a few more people who've dropped in to say hello. So Joe is here, Joe Twistleton, who has Twist Consultancy. And we have Pam Case, who says, hey, Sarah.
Oh, just me. Hi, Pam.
And then Danny has had a busy weekend, the tour of Britain, biking in Wales, a trip to Glasgow, back to the Midlands, and he needs a rest to get over the weekend. I love weekends like that when you need another weekend to recover.
I can relate to that.
I haven't had one of those for a while. It's me age, dear. But anyway, without further ado, I would really like to get us on to our topic of today, which is all about attracting your ideal client and about branding. So, Marianne, can you start us off helping us understand what the misconceptions are about branding and what we can do about it? So over to you. Tell us stuff.
Thank you. So, as you said, there's quite a few misconceptions, but really one of the main ones is that your logo is your brand, and thinking that if you have a logo, you have a brand is not true. So your logo is absolutely key, but on its own, it doesn't really do very much. So the logo needs to stand for what you stand for. So without knowing what your values are, without knowing what your mission is, why you're doing what you're doing, the ideal clients that you want to attract, your logo is just sort of it's a little bit two-dimensional. Whereas actually, when your logo is an expression of really what you and your business stand for, it becomes like a fingerprint, as unique as your fingerprint. And it really then encapsulates what the values that you have, and who you sort of energetically then connect to the people who are right for you, whether it's clients or employees as well. You attract the right people because they resonate with what they see from you. So thinking that your logo is your brand is it's a key aspect of it, but it needs to work with all the other elements. Your imagery, your wording, your colors, your fonts, and when all these elements play together, then they are all part of a brand. And
I'm just going to jump in there because that's already made me go, oh dear. That's the drawing board. You mentioned energy as well, and one thing I forgot to say about this book, which I will show again, A Line of Shine, is the energy that comes from reading this book. It's not often you read a business book and feel something. You usually learn something. This you feel and learn. And it's really interesting that you've learned all about Buddhism and you're really interested in that side of things and spiritual stuff, which comes across loud and clear, and it's amazing. I said to you before we came on air, I'm not easy to calm down, and I was really well last week, and this book it's like got healing powers. It was amazing, and you're learning stuff. So the energy stuff which you talk about might feel a little bit woohoo for people. Can you explain how do you find what do you mean when you talk about energy?
So basically I believe, like we're communicating or we're responding to energy all the time. So for example, we've all walked into a space and felt absolutely amazing, or we've walked into another space and felt like, oh my God, this feels odd. I don't feel at ease. And sometimes you don't know why. Sometimes it's clear there's a picture that you really don't like, or there's a, maybe it's too dark, or the proportions of the room feel a bit too small. But really, when we're responding, when we meet someone within seconds, we sort of either feel sort of drawn to having a longer conversation, or think, no, do you know what? We're not meant to be speaking with each other. And there's nothing, it's not that one is right and the other one is wrong. It's just like we respond to energy. So that's where in my book, I talk about the left and the right brain, because basically a brand needs to connect to our logical part and also our intuitive and emotional part. So, which I also, with the intuition, that's where you then connect to the heart. So with the logic, with the left brain, it's all the things that we know, and they're really important to be really clear about. But often we forget, the sort of things that don't make quite logical sense, and actually sometimes our gut, tells us something and it's not logical and you don't know why, but it feels right. And from a logical point of view, you would take a different action because it makes absolute sense, but it doesn't feel good. So this is also energy. So, for example, or if you're into art or architecture, when you walk into a space, some spaces can lift you up and some spaces can make you feel quite tight and restricted. Yeah. And I believe...
Oh, sorry.
I was just going to say, for me, it's the same with branding, because actually the way we write an email is part of our brand. The way we show up on social media is part of our brand. Mm-hmm. And obviously we know the big brands who we come across on a daily basis. We're either drawn to some of them and not to others. And it's part of their messaging. It's part of obviously who their target audience is. But we're energetically communicating with each other all the time, and colors have an energy, words have an energy, images have an energy. And again, when you make all these things work together, it becomes really, really powerful.
Yeah, I guess
it's fascinating. Sorry, go on, Melinda, go on.
I was going to ask now, so for thinking about the people who have just heard what you've said and thought, maybe I have some work to do on my logo, on my branding. How do you feel that people should approach that? Should it be kind of a gradual shift to a different, perhaps more authentic energy and display, or is it better to do kind of like a big bang relaunch and just kind of hit it hard and try to get new audiences with that kind of hard relaunch?
I think it's a good question, but I think it really depends on the business, on the individual. It depends at which stage you're at. So, for example, if you've been running a business for some time and you're successful, but you're feeling like, that you're not fully in alignment with your brand, or that your brand doesn't really do you justice because it doesn't fully communicate what you do and who it's for, and you may not be working with the types of clients that you really love working with. That's when you sort of know something's not quite aligned. At that point, I would definitely recommend, one of the easy steps you can do is literally buy the book and go through the exercises, and that gives you it gives you the foundation, because it is a sort of inside out approach to branding. So it is about fully connecting and then communicating our values so other people can then resonate with them, or not at all. And you want this to happen as quickly as possible, right? Because you don't want to waste time for anyone, not for yourself and not for others. So to attract the right people is really good. So you want that to happen very quickly. Yeah. And so if someone's has an established business, but they're sort of feeling like actually they might be experiencing growing pains, and they've achieved a certain level of success, and they're like, actually there is more, but I don't quite know where to go. So these questions will help sort of unlock, this other level. Obviously, I also do, one-on-one sessions, which we go deeper into all these questions. And if someone's literally just starting up and thinking, well, you know, not quite clear how to approach branding, because it is vast and it's, yeah, it can appear a little bit like a dark art because, you know, what is it? Is it this? Is it? But it really is, to me, branding is, you know, it's about how we show up. And then our business is an expression of that. It's sort of a, you know, further reaching expression of what we believe in, why we're here, who we're here to serve, the impact we're here to have in the world. So
makes so much sense. Vanessa, you were going to ask a question, but I also wonder if there's any comments coming
so there are a few comments. So Munir has joined us and he says, good day and greetings from Toronto. He's enjoying the conversation. He also asks, Sarah, can you hold up the book again, please? Yeah. It's Align and Shine by Marianne Hartley.
Look, we're doing double header.
There you go. Okay, so there's the book.
Align and Shine. You can get it on Amazon or wherever you are in the world.
Me too.
Like it.
And Leong says he practices
Mahayana Buddhism, yes.
Mahayana Buddhism, there you go.
Yeah. I'm a big fan.
Excellent. And Danny says the parallels between brand and organizational culture are fascinating. And what I was going to say is that we're having this conversation at the minute, kind of where just this morning we've been having this conversation because I don't feel necessarily that our branding at the company that I now work for really tells the story of who we are. There's a disconnect. We're a really young and vibrant organization full of young and vibrant, innovative people much younger than me. I'm an old fogey in the organization. I really am. And, you know, there's this vibrancy and this excitement and this learning. And there's this amazing feeling of dynamism. And if you look at our branding, it doesn't represent us at all. This is exactly what we're thinking about. And we are attracting some great clients. So it's not that we're not attracting the right people, but it's the people, not necessarily the branding that's attracting the clients. And I think we do need to look at that representation of the brand outside. But I've been wondering what's wrong with it. What is it I don't like about it? And I knew that it's zapping my energy. It's kind of like, But what you're saying actually just makes it all kind of make sense, of course. Yeah. So
it's
anyway,
brilliant, isn't it? So how do you create then this legacy brand, this thing that you're proud of, that says who you are, that gives us the right energy, that when the right client's in front of it, they go, that's it. You know, it's all aligned and shining. Back to the book. But how do you create that then? What do we do?
So Vanessa, you just mentioned, you know, like that your current brand doesn't really tell your full story. And I think each one of us, every business owner, every person alive has an interesting story, even if we feel like nothing much has happened in our lives. You know, actually, we all have had an incredible journey that no one else will ever experience, right? Mm-hmm. So the brand story is a key aspect of creating this legacy brand, but also really, you know, tuning into the heart, obviously connecting with the heart and soul, which is why my company is called Hartley and Soul. But it's about really connecting to our deep values, and then from that, the design of the brand can emerge. So then, you know, your brand is then supporting everything that you do. It's not a separate entity that is like, you know, oh, I'm stepping into my business, or I'm going to be a business owner now, and now I'm just me. Actually, your business is part of you, and your the business is an expression of you in a sense. You know, it's a sort of but it's not a separate entity. And when your brand really embodies and captures your values, then it becomes seamless, and there's so much more flow and more fun as well. And there's a lightness to it, rather than, you know, trying to fit into a suit that doesn't quite fit. It's like you just slip into, well, you don't have to actually do very much. Your brand just is, and you step out, and there's a sort of also a sense of pride, because your brand really talks about who you are and what you do. So I sometimes ask clients, or before we start working together, you know, if you were asked to speak on a stage next week at a conference, you know, would you feel really excited or terrified, or would you feel embarrassed about your brand? And if you're feeling embarrassed, you know that something's not right. You know that something isn't as good as it could be, because I think I've met so many amazing business owners over the years, and you know, they have wonderful offerings and wonderful businesses, and sometimes I get their business card and then I'm like, oh no, you know, I just don't get the beauty of their business, in a sense, in the card, and that always makes my heart sink a bit. And I'm like, because it's sort of, your brand is in every aspect. I mean, we haven't given out many business cards in the past 2 years, but you know, I'm really very much focused on it coming back, because it's still also really nice. It's also a tactile expression of your brand. Yeah. And it's, yeah.
I think that there's, based on what you're saying, it sounds like there's actually a really good use case for doing kind of an annual review, like an annual health check on your brand.
Yes.
And does it still resonate? Because of course, if you are successful in your business will grow, but it will also evolve.
Yeah.
And so what was right for you when you were first starting out, and when you thought you knew what your product was, and you thought you knew what the customers wanted, might be very different a year later when you've actually been working with people and refined not only what your customers want, but also what you can give them best.
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
It's not like a one and done thing, in my view, now, based on what you're saying. It needs to be kind of a regular review.
Yeah, that's right. I think I recommend my clients do this sort of brand alignment, which I do as a whole day. But you know, when it's a check-in, you can do it in a few hours. But it's invaluable, because it's a bit like a compass. You then know, oh, have our values actually now we have sort of another aspect, or you refine it all the time. And it may be that you have a new product or a new service or a new target audience that you didn't have before. And by doing this check-in, or it is like a deep dive, but doing it regularly, you save yourself so much time and energy and resources in the long run, because it's like, oh, okay, it's changed a bit, rather than carrying on down a route that wasn't working or is outdated.
I think you could actually save money on marketing too, because if your branding is aligned and all the messaging is consistent, you don't have to keep retelling your story in every time you do a promotion.
That's right. Yes.
No, I'm definitely going to buy the books. I think you talked about doing the exercises and just to kind of get that alignment and to get and I suppose to involve the whole company in that conversation is really important, because it's not just my view as a newcomer. It's kind of understanding, and the company's growing so quickly. You know, we're getting so many more employees all the time that we've got to capture that spirit, haven't we? So I'm definitely going to get the book. A question from Craig Blackburn writes, afternoon again, do you have any advice as to how these principles can apply to personal branding?
Yeah, to me they're no different in a sense, because you know, whether you have so let's say you don't have a business and you're just you. I mean, we can't help but be a brand, and there's a whole question, well, do we need brands? And basically, I believe that, you know, as we show up, how we show up in the world is sort of our branding. And so obviously, when you're the business owner, you want to be aligned with your business values. Otherwise, you'll be in conflict all the time, and you know, it'll lead to feeling tired, and you know, it's not going down the right track. But when your personal values and the business values are aligned, then everything, it's like it gives you energy, you know, it motivates you. You look at your brand and you're like, oh my God, I love what I do. You know, this is why I get up in the morning. This is why I'm here. You know, this is what I'm here to do. So your personal brand really is, to me, is not much different than, obviously it needs to have your face on it, absolutely. And knowing what your values are, just as well as the business values, are really important. And your vision, you know, there's one exercise that I love. And I remember I was with my business mentor, Mike Harris, the founder of First Direct and Egg. And it asked us to create this 100-year game. And it's something so big that we know we can never, ever, ever achieve. But it's so inspiring. However close we get to it, it doesn't really matter, because we know that there's something so big that's inspiring, that gets us out of bed in the morning and inspires us to, do what we're here to do. And it also reminds me of Gaudi, the artist, the Spanish artist who created a design for this church, the Sagrada Familia, and he knew he would never be able to see it complete. So he created a design that he knew it was not humanly possible to finish it in his lifetime. And, I think it's just about complete now, but, creating something bigger, bolder, that goes beyond just, having a successful business, just something beyond money. Of course, we all want money and be successful. I think that's sort of really important. But having a vision that's beyond that, that's really exciting and lights up.
Your driving force. Do you know what else I found very interesting in this book, other than the fact that it really helped me feel better and you're learning stuff, is the the alignment with what we all do. I'm work with leaders and I coach them and I help them think of their vision of the future and their mission and what they're doing now. You talk about that a lot as well. I know, for Melinda and Vanessa, it's the same thing. It doesn't matter what your job is, without this connection to something bigger than yourself, you don't want to get out of bed in the morning. So if you're just getting up doing a job where you're feeling, oh, I've got to do this, it's because no one's inspired you, or you haven't learned to inspire yourself yet as to why am I doing this and where am I going in the future? How's it going to help me? And when you can do that, the difference is massive. I feel it too. I know what my big dream is. I may never be able to achieve it, but I'll get somewhere close.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what gets me up. But it's fascinating. Sorry, lots of people commenting.
Yeah. Lots of lovely. I love this one from Danny, which was Gaudi is a great example, isn't it? Pure visionary.
Yeah.
Designing something that would never be, that he would never actually physically see in his lifetime. Incredible. And Danny says, to plant trees whose shade we shall never sit beneath.
Yeah, I love this.
Beautiful, isn't it? Beautiful. Yeah.
Very good.
And then people are ordering the book as we speak.
Good. So, there's lots of great things in here. One of my favourite exercises, which I said to you earlier, was the all-sensory expression of your brand, where you ask yourself these questions. If your brand was a colour, a shape, an animal, a place, a watch, a location. I had so much fun doing that. And I came up with such a random amount of things. And then I stopped and thought, does that mean I'm mad? How do you turn that into something? I have no idea, but that's your magical power, isn't it? That's what you know, and that's what you do. I don't know if you can give us some direction on that. Is what do you do when you've got all of this stuff?
Yeah, so actually, Sarah, I love that you've brought this up, because it can seem totally random. How's that connected to? How can that relate to the brand? What? And it doesn't mean like if say orange comes up as your color, that your brand will have to be orange. But it's about, again, it's an exercise to get us out of our logical mind and really into sort of something much more intuitive and illogical. And when we sort of describe, again, your answers will be totally different to mine. And actually, if you did it tomorrow or next week, they'll be different again. And if all four of us were to do this exercise, we'd all get very, very different answers. So what's really great is like it's also just like it gives you an insight. It's a bit like it's like a snapshot of your emotional state and your.
Yeah.
No, don't worry. It's like you can have a panther and a rose and the scent of, oh, look at that.
My panther, you see.
Oh, I love it.
My panther.
I love it. Yeah. And before we started, we saw Melinda's real panther, which was
my house
panther up there.
Oh, wow, look at that. I didn't know you had a panther, so I must have been tuning in. But it's like giving you a snapshot into how you're feeling at that point. And it is about getting in touch with our feelings, because we're all very good at analyzing, thinking ahead, thinking back. And we spend, most of us spend most of our time in our heads. And this exercise sort of disturbs this a bit. It's like a pattern disruptor. And you go, oh, actually, yeah, well, if I was a texture, which texture would it be? and it's just like it drops us into another experience, if you like, and it becomes more a physical. That's why I call it the all-sensory, because it becomes more a physical experience of the brand, and there's the taste or the scent,
it's bizarre, because then you do this, and I'm thinking, well, I don't know what that means. And then all of a sudden I started Googling stuff, and then I was Googling plants. I told you over the weekend, I had to share this with Marianne straight away, because it asked what plant you'd be in, and I was looking at kiwi plants, never heard of them before, but I saw them and loved the colour. It takes you down a path you didn't know you were going to go down. So anyway, so back to the other humans. What are they saying?
Yeah, so Joe had said that purpose is so important, and Danny agrees with her. That she has to go, but it's been great. Thank you very much. And then Danny, whose branding has bees, and he says, "Happy bees make great honey," or something like that. That's his kind of slogan. And bees are cool. Obviously, they're very cool and very hardworking and very efficient.
And without bees, we're not around anymore.
It's very necessary. Yeah. But amazing that you picked up on the panther and you didn't even know that was my thing. You see,
she's
but that.
I want to say she's like not a witch. That's wrong, but a wizard. She just knows these things. It's incredible. Sorry, I cut you off there, Vanessa.
No, but it's kind of when I kind of created up with Invincible Marketing. That was at the time. It was a joke in my head about being the Invincible Panther. You see, there was no way that my company could be called anything else, because I was in that mindset of there's a whole big story behind it. I've done a video about why I'm called Invincible Marketing, or I was, because I'm not anymore. But the whole aligning to my values and the affirmations and the vision of where I was going and what I wanted to be and how I wanted people to perceive me and all the rest of it, it felt, as you say, absolutely true and completely aligned. It wasn't that I'd looked up some nice words in a book and thought, I'll do that. It was kind of like cut me in half, and it was like written kind of through my core. So it sounds, it makes perfect sense, and I'm kind of, I'm really proud of this now.
You should. So, Marianne, 3 steps to align your brand with your vision and successfully attract your ideal client. So, I mean, what can you give us to help us on our way? I know you've already shared so much, and there's probably some of that already in there, but say, right, these are the 3 things you need to do to start with. What would they be?
So really, the very first step is be really clear on your values. Be clear on your values. The second is define or explore your vision. Be really clear. Vision, purpose, they're sort of nearly interchangeable. It's like your purpose is part of your vision, or sometimes people find like vision, values, and mission slightly confusing. And to me, the vision is the sort of ultimate outcome. Your mission is how you're getting there, and your values is what you implement every day, to what you embody and what you stand for in order to bring this vision to life. So 3 steps. Your values, be really clear on your values, your vision, and then also the clients, your niche, your ideal clients, the people that you are here to serve. And actually, it's the other side is, which problem do you solve? So you've got a unique gift in you do what you do in a way that nobody else does, and being really clear about that will help you attract your ideal clients to you. Because again, like I said earlier, they'll resonate, they'll feel the connection just by seeing what you put out. Obviously, you need to communicate your messages consistently and congruently, and show up in the same way everywhere, on social media, on email, on the phone, in the tube.
So even the way you sign off on your emails, the colours that you use, or the pictures that you're putting underneath there, it's all got to align. I've got a question for you about so who is your ideal client? So, and I know if I was talking to Daniel Priestley about this, exactly what he'd say, but I'm intrigued. And both Marianne and Marianne's been through the program that I'm currently on, which is the Key Person of Influence program by Dent Global, which is Daniel Priestley's company. But my ideal client, the people who pay the bills, are the HR departments and people in senior HR roles. But often the people I'm talking to are the people that experience what I give them, which is the senior leaders and C-suite executives who need the support. So if you're talking to both, sometimes I'm talking to the people that receive it, sometimes I'm talking to the people that pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you mix that? You can't have one for one and one for another. I guess you just have to find a way of connecting the two.
Yeah. Basically, your message. Well, you're the same in both situations, but your audience is slightly different. So you adjust your message, obviously, to speak to them specifically, but you're still very much the same, whether you're speaking to the HR director or the people that you're working with. So your values are the same, whether you're, whoever you're speaking with, but your message obviously needs to be tailored to resonate with them.
Yeah, sure.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, so it's the message that changes, not the branding. The branding is still the same. I get it.
Because again, if you have different target audiences, you'll have a slightly different message for each, right? But the values are the same throughout. So you don't change your values according to your audience, but you adjust, for one, if you don't speak about the person who's paying the bill, you're going to be speaking to them differently than to the person who's attending your workshop. So, you'll be drawing them into the workshop and you'll show your expertise to the person who's paying the bill. So it's just two sides of the same of you, right?
Yeah, thank you. No, that makes perfect sense. I'm just conscious of time. We only have a couple of minutes left. Do we have any more questions or comments coming
We've got a few more comments. What I was going to say, adding to what Marianne said about where you meet your different audiences as well. So if you think about your website, the person who wants your service will look at some pages, whereas who's paying for your service, they'll want to know the About Us section and other places, because they're looking for, is this person reliable? Is it an established business? They've got different questions that they need to ask, so there's different places. But absolutely, what Marianne said, your brand is consistent. It's just what you're doing. So Lisa said, going back to the comments, Lisa joins us. Hello. She had the feedback that somebody didn't get her brand, and they explained why they didn't get it, and then explained exactly my intent behind my choice. Sometimes you do have to tell the story because it is personal, I think. Danny says to me, similar story, Vanessa, with Fergun, it embodies his motivation. Cool. Ian's with us. Hello, Ian. With a clear vision and defined values, everyone within an organisation has something to get behind. They can begin to understand what they're all part of, what they're trying to achieve, and how they go about delivering it. Yeah, exactly. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. It's very much, it's a bit like a guiding star, or or the North Pole. You sort of North Star, not yeah, maybe not. So it's like whatever your role is within an organization, when you're clear on the vision, then everyone, there's also a type of freedom of movement within it, because everyone will have, if we can all agree to the outcome, then different people will go about it in different ways, but agreeing on the common goal and common outcome is motivating and empowering as well. So everyone knows what they're part of, and
without it, and I go into organizations where it doesn't exist, no one's clear on what it is, you see the havoc that it wreaks. And it's not just the havoc, it's the disengagement, lack of fulfillment, lack of joy. It's incredible how people think they can expect the business to thrive without this, and the branding part of it all has to align.
Which ties into the whole idea that Marianne first started with, and that's the misconception that your brand is your logo. And it isn't. It's something that you feel that you can follow, isn't it? So circle back to the beginning.
Very good.
Yeah, and if everybody's pulling together, then it's also supporting innovation as well, because people can't innovate if they don't know where they're going.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Great point. Yeah.
And Danny said, we're right at the end. Danny says, we wouldn't go for a drive without a destination. Purpose gives us that heading and keeps us from being distracted en route.
Yeah,
very good. Absolutely. Very good. I would just like to say a massive thank you. I mean, I know we've only scratched the surface, and there's so much more. But please, if you want to know more about this and you've enjoyed what Marianne's had to say, go and get yourself this book. If nothing else, it's just a gorgeous read. You know, it will teach you stuff, but even if you didn't need to learn something, it's a gorgeous read. And yeah, I've learned loads in just half an hour. So goodness knows what you could do in a day. Really, really grateful you could join us today, and thank you to everybody who's commented and asked questions. Maria, it's a pleasure. Great talk, and and we will see you all next week. Plans for next week, ladies?
What are we doing next week?
Somebody's doing something brilliant.
Fabulous. I'll be there for it.
And this is the exciting thing. We don't even know what it is yet, but we will do by the end of today. I have a feeling it's one of us lovely ladies. It's not like we do this by the seat of our pants at all. We are dedicated to the cause. Thank you very much for joining us, Marianne. Thank you. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Good luck with your book and your business, and we look forward to hearing from you again soon.
All right. Thank you. Thanks for joining, everybody.
Thanks for joining.
Bye.
Bye.